Hello and welcome to Guild Wars Players News, the podcast where we take a look at Guild Wars game series news and talk about content on our site, Guild Wars Players. I'm Sithrith, and today we have Athelros.
Yes.
And we do not have Draculetta today, because he is away, and that's not great. Draculetta, you are never allowed to leave us again, because we've had all sorts of technical issues. We are not able to record live, because the live software Mixler is not cooperating with me. And we've also had some Skype issues today, so that's really fun.
Well, that's nothing new.
Well, that's nothing new, but they're especially bad today because Draculetta's not here. Because he's
We are not amused.
We are not amused. Especially because today is actually a really huge news day. There's a lot to talk about, and we really don't want it to get messed up. So this is our second attempt at recording. Lots of game news this week. The biggest one is that Heart of Thorns pre-purchases are now live. Basically, this week has been E3. Everybody's excited about that. Colin Johansson was on E3's PC gaming show to talk about guild halls. Initially, that's all we thought he was going to be talking about. But then, at the end, he also announced that Heart of Thorns pre-purchases were live. And then, as soon as he said it, they went live. And there are 3 tiers of pre-purchases available. There is the $50 Standard Edition, which is just Heart of Thorns, or if you do not have Guild Wars 2 already, it also gives you access to the base game of Guild Wars 2. There is a $75 Deluxe version, which includes obviously Heart of Thorns and the base game if you don't already have it. It also includes a character slot, a mini Ritlock Revenant, a Revenant Finisher for PvP, and a Heart of Thorns glider skin, because we're getting gliders in Heart of Thorns and stuff. Then the final edition is the Ultimate Edition, and it's $100, and it comes with all the stuff I just said, plus 4,000 gems, which is $50 worth of gems, basically. So that's the pre-release options, and there's been quite a hullabaloo about it on the internet since these went live. Mel posted his own opinions on our site, and we're going to give you a bit of a rundown of the pros and cons and our thoughts on the pre-purchase options. So basically, my thoughts, there's pros and cons to it being priced highly, as high as it is. In my opinion, I feel like, based on the information we know, I feel like $50 for just the standard edition is a little bit high because we don't exactly know everything there is to know about the game yet. I'm not personally willing to pay $50 or $75 or $100 just yet until I know more. We've learned a lot about the systems, but we still don't know a lot about the quote-unquote challenging content we're going to get. We don't know a lot about what actually is going to be the maps. We've seen some closed beta events with a small portion of the map. We don't know if we're getting more than just the one map. We don't really know yet. So personally, I haven't pre-purchased yet. I'm still holding off until we see more of Heart of Thorns. But there's some pros and cons to why it's priced as high as it is. One reason it could be priced as high is it is a buy-to-play game, Guild Wars 2. So we've already gotten quite a bit of content for free based off of just, the $50 or $40 or $30 or $25 or even $10 one purchase that we made to buy Guild Wars 2. We've gotten all these different Living Story updates. We've gotten all these new updates. We're getting this huge update coming out next week, which we'll talk about later. This is all just free updates. So that's a lot. So I can see why they would price a expansion at a higher rate to kind of offset the no subscription fee. And on top of that, we will probably continue to get more free content updates after Heart of Thorns, and probably there's going to be certain kinds of free content that you'll only have access to if you've purchased Heart of Thorns. I'm speculating there, I'm not sure, but, that's how it is. And since everybody who buys Heart of Thorns is getting the base game anyways, I guess it doesn't matter that much. Also, by including the base game in the purchases of the pre-purchases, it encourages new players to jump in, and that's really good. And we still don't know how much landmass we're going to be getting in Heart of Thorns. It could be a lot. We could be getting tons, and it could very well be worth $50. But on the other hand, we still don't know exactly how much landmass we're getting in Heart of Thorns, and it could be not very much. Another downside, I know they've stressed this, and many others have stressed this, that it's not so much that with $50 we're paying for the base game and Heart of Thorns. It's not like, we're paying for two things. $50 is the price of Heart of Thorns, they've said. However, the fact is, when you look at it, a new player who has never played the game before is getting more value out of $50 than somebody who's been playing for a while. they're also spending $50 on this and they're not getting as much for it. That's not great. I can see why they would want to do it. I think it's a little tricky. I don't really see a good way to handle that, honestly. It's just tricky. Another bad thing about pricing it the way they did and not giving a character slot to the $50 option is that they're giving us a new profession and they're not giving us a new character slot. I've heard a lot of people just say, well, delete a character. It's like, well, what if you have 5 character slots and you've got characters you want and they're all like 80? You're not going to delete that. Like, you would expect with a new profession you'd get a new character slot. I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. And also, another note Wooden Potatoes made in his video about the pre-purchases that in the past, Guild Wars 1 has, like, their Eye of the North expansion was $40, and it included multiple character slots, so I don't know why they're not doing that with Heart of Thorns. So that's just mine. Thalros, I know you also have a lot of opinions about the pre-purchases.
Well, okay, looking at it from the point of view of someone who doesn't actually own the game yet. So say you've heard of Guild Wars 2 for a while, you know they're having an expansion, and you think, okay, I'll just get into it now. It seems like a good time to do it. Was it $50 for the base game and the expansion? I think that's fair.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't already own the game, I think that's a fair price.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we don't know everything that's in the expansion, I'd say that's almost just worth the base game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, the base game is usually $50 to $40, so yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I got no problem. I think that's a really good way of selling it. I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
The problem you mentioned is that, if you already own the game, there's no alternative benefit, I suppose you could say, of someone who does own the game already and wants to get the base edition.
Mm-hmm.
They end up paying the same price to get less, which is something I don't think you should ever do for these kind of pre-purchase things.
Right.
I just think it not only is it just seems like a bad idea in general, but you're guaranteed to tick people off, as we have found out.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like really bad foresight, I suppose, of thinking to do it this way to begin with.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And a lot of people are very, very upset about this. Some people are very pleased with the pre-purchased options. Like I said, I still haven't decided. I know you've said that you don't pre-purchase games generally, so that's not really an issue for you.
Yeah.
I usually do pre-purchase, especially MMO expansions. I don't think I've ever not, the MMO we used to play a lot, Lord of the Rings Online, I pre-purchased every single expansion. I loved pre-purchasing them. They always came with great cosmetics. I was always a really big fan of that. And sometimes they came with, mounts and stuff, and I was always really pleased. I don't think any Lotro expansion was ever $100, ever. The deluxe versions. I would always get the deluxe versions because I enjoy the cosmetics that come with them. They were never $100.
I think so. 70 was the highest.
I think, about 70, maybe 80 once. I don't think so, though. Probably 70. But my problem with these expansions, personally, I'm not that into the mini or the finisher. I have my Rainbow Unicorn finisher. Why would I ever need anything else? I'm not super into the character minis. They're not appealing to me. The glider is okay. I mean, maybe that's okay. The only appealing item, bonus item, is the $100 deluxe edition's 4,000 gems, because then I can actually buy all the character slots that I expected the expansion to come with, and total makeover kits to make all my characters. So I just wasn't that impressed with the bonus items, which is usually what I get excited about for pre-purchases. So it's tough. I just don't see the value in $500, or in $500, oh my gosh. I don't see the value in $50 yet, and I'm not jazzed about the items, so I'm just waiting. I would like to see them add at least a character slot to the standard edition, because I feel like that was something they should have done, because you're getting a new class, why wouldn't you?
I think it's just a matter of them not having a very flexible standard edition option.
Right.
Either change, add stuff to the standard edition as is,
mm-hmm.
or unless they think that's kind of giving new players too much, which I guess I could maybe see, then have a separate option, maybe it can tell that you already own the base game, and instead you get some character slots or something like that.
Right, that would be great.
Or something like that.
Exactly. Well, because that's the thing. You can buy this out of game from the store, or you can buy it in game. Maybe if you buy it in game, obviously you already have the base game. Maybe you get you get a character slot if you buy it in game. That I feel like would be a good compromise.
Yeah. I think this is just them not having a flexible enough option for the base game.
Yep, definitely.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, they're going to like the bonus items in the $75 and $100 one, and they're going to find that valuable, and so they'll buy it, and that's fine. I mean, personally, I don't care, but, you know.
No, it's all fluff anyway, so it's not, like, huge deal. I don't think the Deluxe and Ultimate Editions are really at the kind of crux of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's mainly with the standard one.
Exactly. Yeah. If you, like, I mean, that's the thing. We spend, like, $10, $20 on, like, wings and outfits and stuff in store. It's obviously we don't have a problem paying for fluff. Well, specifically, I especially don't have a problem paying for fluff because I love fluff. But, yeah, it's that standard edition is not a great deal, I don't think.
I think it probably does need to be mentioned. Like, this has obviously made a lot of people upset. I can understand why. You know, if you're not happy with the pre-order option, you should say so. You should make it clear and vote with your wallet until maybe they change according to what you would like them to do.
Right.
There's that, and then there's pretty much what I would call throwing a tantrum on the internet. Which is, I think, in my opinion, what I'm not going to say most because that's generalizing, but a sizable minority of people have done at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of feelings about this pre-purchase thing. I've seen people getting mad about people buying the pre-purchase thing at all. I've seen people mad that people aren't buying it. It's ridiculous. I feel like everybody should just take a step back, calm down. Having your own personal opinions and deciding to buy it or not buy it is totally fine, but I feel like judging other people for whatever they decide to do is a bad idea.
Like, you don't need to be threatened by someone else, like, having the opposite opinion. Right. Them having that opinion does not in any way affect the validity of yours.
Exactly.
It's just different. This shouldn't be a big deal.
Nope.
It really shouldn't. I don't know why it's gone to this level of extremes where people are, like, mass downvoting and insults back and forth for no reason, really. It's ridiculous.
It really, really is. So everybody just take a breath. If you want to pre-order it, go for it. If you don't wait around. Whatever.
Say, like, I mean, people can send emails. You can there are ways of contacting Arena in various ways anyway. Right. I'm guessing they watch Reddit and various other social media sites and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say, I don't like these pre-order options because X, and hope they take the feedback in. Presumably they will, otherwise they wouldn't be in business.
Exactly. So
there's just no reason to fling insults around at people who not necessarily have the same view. It doesn't achieve anything.
No. And we actually put up a poll on our site to see what people were thinking if they were going to pre-purchase or not. 20 people, we got 47 total votes. 20 people said that they are going to wait for more information before they decide. 10 people said that yes, they will purchase or they have already pre-purchased the Ultimate Edition. 10 people said no, they will not pre-purchase. 7 people said that yes, they will or have already purchased the Standard Edition, and 0 people said they will or have already gotten the Deluxe Edition.
Which is an interesting statistic. Obviously not huge, sizable sample, but
no.
Still interesting that no one seems to be interested in the Deluxe Edition. I guess it makes sense when you look at the option. It doesn't seem to offer enough to be like, yeah, I don't want to spend too much, so I'll just go for the Deluxe when the Ultimate isn't that much more expensive, and yet it gives a ton more. Right.
That's the thing. Yeah, I don't think I'd personally ever get the $75 one. I'd probably get either the $50 or the $100. Not the middle one. But yeah, on top of all of that, we are also giving away a Ultimate Edition of Heart of Thorns. So basically all you have to do, there is a post on our site titled Heart of Thorns Ultimate Edition Giveaway. You go to that page, that post, and you just leave a comment, and you are in for the drawing. So it comes with all those deluxe items, the 4,000 gems, the core Guild Wars 2 game if you don't already play Guild Wars 2, and of course, access to the expansion. You will get a key, like a code key for this if you are the winner. Make sure if you don't have an account, like a WordPress account on the site, make sure you are using an email that you check, because that is the email we will contact you with. We're not eligible to enter, sadly. all Guild Wars players, staff, writers, podcasters, etc., and their immediate family are not eligible for this drawing. Although I don't know how we would check immediate family, but whatever. So yeah, if you want an Ultimate Edition, go enter the drawing. We will be doing the drawing on July 1st. So, yeah. And on top of all of that news about pre-purchases, this week we've also gotten a ton of news about guild halls. So, like I said, Colin Johansson at E3, his main point of being there was to give information about guild halls. He did a really cool looking teaser video thing and talked about them a bit, and they look really cool. Basically, a guild hall is a map that your guild owns, and to own it, you have to fight back the Mordrim that control it. Yesterday, they also released a blog post covering the 6 pillars or 6 main points of the guild halls, and they are to emphasize community and fellowship. They want them to be a place to call your own. They want guild halls to build a shared history. They want to bring guilds into the world, like physically. They want to activate player creativity, and they want to have guild halls bring new ways to play together. So they also, just before we started recording and having all sorts of technical issues, they've released 3 really detailed blog posts about guild halls. I'm going to make a post about them later today, and we'll probably talk about them in detail next week on the show, because, yeah, they posted it too soon before we usually record. And on top of all of that, if all of that's not enough, next week, June 23rd, we are having a really big update. We've talked a lot about some of the stuff that's coming in this update before. We're getting the core specialization additions, we're getting the wallet changes, we're getting a new Lion's Arch, and this week they also posted detailed skill and trait information about every single class. So they literally listed the skill description, trait descriptions, and everything for every single class. Obviously, we're not going to talk about every single one because it's quite a wall of text. But I definitely recommend going to the site and looking at the June 23rd update info mega post, because it's got all sorts of information, and you can click on them and find your class. So if you want to see all that stuff before the update and get your character ready or whatever, go check it out. So, Atharos, since Drac's not here this week, you want to talk about what's in the gem store this week?
Yeah, there's not too much this week, just a couple of things. There is the Pet Rock. This thing, it's 350 gems, and it creeps me the heck out.
I don't know
Gotta
why.
be honest.
I don't know why. It's hilarious.
It scares me. It
Why?
really does.
It's just a rock with googly eyes.
You look at the eyes in game, it's just, I don't know, they just unnerve me.
Okay, whatever, man.
I've heard people smack talk my character, but this is just, it's another realm of terrifying.
If you say so.
There is also the Revenant Mail Carrier, which is sort of just a letter popping out of the mists wherever you are. Looks quite cool, actually.
Yeah, not my
I
thing.
like it. Probably look better if you are a Revenant yourself, but still, it's alright. That's also 350 gems.
Cool, thanks for that. And now, finally, we'll move into news from our site. This week we've got 2 new editions of our ongoing fanfiction stories. Mel posted a story of an overworked progeny, part 4 this week, and this one's interesting because it is told from the point of view of different characters, not Anon. So go check that out, that's slightly different. And this week we also have Kelsandra Chapter 4, continuing on with the reunion from last week. I love coming up with these super vague little descriptions so I don't do spoilers. And then we also have Sounds of Tyria this week, which I guess since Drac's not here, I'll talk about a little bit, unless Atharos you want to. I don't know if you listened to it.
I did listen to it.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a nice track. I'm not quite sure where it is in game.
Yeah,
if
me
it
neither.
Is. I don't know. I can't place it.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but I don't know, like, if it's in an instance or, like, something. I don't know. But it is good.
Yeah, it's very building up to something, like leading up to a battle or something like that. It's quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
Up to the standards of the rest of the soundtrack, of course.
Right, yes. And this track is called The Darkness Will Fall. And Drac says, this is a very interesting Guild Wars 2 track. It starts off with some trumpets and then builds with some subtle plucks of the strings and ends in a nice triumph. So,
very nice description.
Yes. Thanks, Drac, for typing that up. And we don't have a video spotlight this week because I figured we'd be talking so much about the news. Didn't want to make the podcast run on too long. So sorry, no video this week. But we do, as always, have a weekly outfit. This is from Ty, the Human Ranger. You might remember he sent in an email a while ago that we read. Ty from the Guild T. And he says, I include 2 screenies of my much-loved Human Ranger for Sithrith and the armor set that I have finally got just the way I like it. It's a blend of the noble, glorious Viper adventurers. It's dyed abyss for the leather areas and steel for the plate section. I think it looks pretty badass, but let me know what you guys think. I think it does look good. Especially props to Ty for making a medium armor look that does not involve a trench coat. That can be difficult. Since so many medium armor, especially on males, is just all trench coats all the time. So, Atharos, what did you do this week in game?
Not too much. I haven't really done any sort of PvP at all. I guess we just never really got around to doing much. Mm-hmm. It's mainly just being world completion for me. I did Wayfarer Foothills, Iron Marches, I believe it's called. Mm-hmm. Fireheart Rise,
yep.
The char, pretty much every char area this week. I did Harathi Hinterlands, which is a very joyful zone, as anyone who's been there can say.
Yes.
Very, very diverse enemies there. There's centaurs.
and rock dogs.
And centaurs.
And rock dogs.
And rock dogs.
And some bandits.
And more. Yeah, there are some bandits. You know, among the centaurs.
Yeah, I did Harathi Hinterlands this week too. It was not great.
Nope. I also did some of the snow areas, which...
Yeah.
They're kind of fine when you're going through them earlier on. And then when you get to about the second zone, you're like partway through that, and you realize, this is what I'm going to be doing for the next, say, 80 levels.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
It gets
of
a bit old.
zones. Yeah, it sure does.
It's kind of the reverse problem we kind of had in Luttra, where there's only, 3 zones that were really snowy.
Yeah.
There's just too many of them. And especially the, kind of leveling path for a non, in particular, is kind of direct you towards these. Mm-hmm. You kind of end up going through multiple ones in a row, and it drains you a lot.
Yeah. Not a fan of snow zones.
Certain mobs that are in those zones, beginning with D and rhyming with, I don't know...
Edge.
That'll work. I hate Dredge. I really do. I hate them so much. There's just dazes and stuns and
the
slows
gongs.
and the gongs. Yeah. I hate them.
Yep.
I'm about 89% completion now, so I'm left with just Edge Haunt Cliffs, I think it's called.
Yep.
Or in general, which we still need to do.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be too bad if doing it as a group, but yeah. We did go through Lornar's Pass, which is, I think, one of the larger zones in the game.
It's got 43 points of interest. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, had some decent fun going through there.
We also did... Some money. Was it this week that we did Fireheart Rise?
I think it did. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
We also did Fireheart Rise. So that was fun. Doing world completion in a group is way better than single. Although, there's this problem I have doing world completion with you, Thoros, where you literally always finish hearts before I do, even if I start working on the heart before you. I don't understand. It always happens. There's been 1 or 2 cases where I happened to finish first, but probably only because you were alt-tabbed or something while I was doing it. There's also one where I was so excited because I thought I finished at the exact same time you did, only to find out I still had one tiny little pip left. So disappointing.
I don't understand how it works. I just know it works in my favor.
Sure.
There are some things that don't work in my favor, though, like Skype.
Yeah.
Skype doesn't work in my favor at all.
Well, yeah. Yesterday when we started working on Luminar's Pass, every time Atharos went... Well, we thought we were having Skype problems, because every time Atharos went to point out this one point of interest that he didn't have on the map...
Using the draw feature.
The draw feature on the mini-map where you shift and then hold down your mouse button. Every time he tried to point it out, his mic would go silent, and I thought the Skype call was cutting out, and we were
kind of panicked a bit, actually.
Yeah, we were panicking, but why isn't this working? Tharos thought his headset was going out, and then Tharos, what was the conclusion that you came to? What was the technical issue with that?
Well, as mentioned, the feature to draw on the map in Guild Wars 2, which we use quite often for both useful and not very useful things, is shift and then drawing stuff. The button to mute yourself or use push to talk on Skype, I had also configured to shift.
Brilliant.
I did not realize this until I had alt tabs and pressed the same key and noticed that it had changed it.
Brilliant.
So that was a laugh. That was a great laugh.
It really was. I laughed quite a bit.
I think we also concluded that was caused by, which one was it? Leopard?
Snow leopard, yeah, because he was trying to point out the snow leopard shrine point of interest that he needed to go get, and so we decided, basically, the reason was the snow leopard just hates him.
It was so weird, literally every time I tried to point out, like, here, nah, muted, here.
Yeah, he'd be like, okay, I'm gonna say something, and I start cracking up. It was good.
But yeah, definitely if you're doing world completion, try and find some friends or whatever to do it. It's a lot easier and, like, pretty much always more fun.
Mm-hmm. Even if you're doing something as terrible as Lornar's Pass. Or.
Yep.
Or.
Or Harathi Inlands if we end up doing that, but I think you already did.
Yeah, I already did that. You already did that. I'm not doing that again.
This is actually, in case I hadn't mentioned it, this is my second time doing world completion.
You're nuts.
And I guess I can tolerate it because I seem to have forgotten most of it.
Yeah. No, I don't like it. I don't like world completion, but I'm doing it for the legendary, which I've been working on more this week. I got my armor smith up to 300, and so I'm really close. I've got enough mithril. I had sold a whole bunch of silk, but it's really easy to get silk, so I'm not too concerned about it. So I'm almost at 400, and I'm really close. That means to getting Gift of Twilight, except for all the gold I have to spend on icy runestones. That's a lot. And yeah, I didn't really do very much PvP this week. A little bit here and there. But I don't know, I just haven't been in the mood for PvPing. It's been the Steam summer sale this week, so I've been checking Steam sales and stuff. I did get one Steam game, so I've been playing that a lot. And yeah, surprise, another game's got me playing it that's not Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it for me. So that's kind of it, I guess. We didn't get any donations this week, but we would love your support. If you would like to help support Guild Wars players, you can go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon, and you will find rewards like you can get a mention on the show, or you can even come and be a guest on the show and talk to us and talk about what you did this week and all that fun stuff. We got a lot of comments this week because, obviously, the giveaway. Lots of comments there. We've also gotten a lot of comments on Mel's article about what his opinion of the pre-purchases are. We have some very nice comments from Tesla's Ghost, from Zero Kitsune, and Amorous. They're very long. Everybody has their opinions about the pre-purchases. Zero Kitsune did buy the expansion, and Amorous seems kind of agreeing with me. He sees pros and cons in the pre-purchase options. So go check those comments out. And, yeah, you can contact us a variety of ways if you so wish. You can email us at podcast@guildwarsplayers.com, where you can send in questions, you can send in topics, advice, whatever. You can send us asks to our Tumblr at guildwarsplayers.tumblr.com. And, of course, you can contact us on Twitter. The Players Alliance Network Twitter is @PlayersAlly. Our site is @GWPlayers. I'm at Sithrith. The Drac, who's not here, is @Draculetta_72. And Thoros is @Thoros. And, of course, you can also say hello to us in-game. I am Sithrith.6741, Draculetta.7410, and Thoros is Thoros.3164. The Players Alliance has a whole bunch of live shows. Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is DDO Players News. Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern is Guild Wars Players News. Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is Lotro Players News. And to get to all these live shows, you can go to guildwarsplayers.com/live. And that's about it for today. Thank you all very much for listening. We're sorry that the live show didn't work. Hopefully, we will be back to normal next week. So this is Sithrith, reminding you to look before you leap.